everyone. This is me, Paloma. Welcome to a very, very interesting conversation that I am going to be having with Dr. Karthik Ram. We're going to be talking about the most important issue that is on everybody's minds and that has connected us all, which is COVID-19. So, Dr. Karthik Ram, hi, hello. And
Hi, Paloma.
we have lots and lots of questions for you. So, I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so Dr. Karthik, my first question for you would be, when people talk about corona, we see pictures of this weirdly shaped organism or virus, but I think the average person doesn't actually understand what this is. So I think maybe you should start with sort of a history of other such pandemics before we get to corona itself and what this scary organism is.
Yeah, Paloma. See that mankind faced a lot of pandemics till today. Bacteria-induced pandemic plague was the major one, and there are three major pandemic happened because of the plague. And if you see the first one, it's called 6th century plague or plague of Justinian. It's actually originated in the Ethiopia in Africa and spread to Egypt and then to Europe. Then it spread to the Middle East and Asia. Almost 100 million people died because of the plague of Justinian. It happened in the 6th century. And the second pandemic happened because of the plague is the medieval plague, or it's called Black Death. And the famous, the painting is called Triumph of Death. Like depicts the scenery, what happened during the medieval plague. And it started in China, then moved to Europe, it's then North Africa, and then to Middle East. Almost 25 million people died because of in Europe alone, and 25 million people died in Asia. Then comes the third pandemic, which is happened in the late 19th century and the early 20th century, and it started in China and spread worldwide. But India was the worst affected because of this pandemic. It almost 12 million people died in India alone. That overall death because of this pandemic is only 15 million. Almost 12 million only in India. Even near Bombay, they closed down few of the they burned few of the areas, nearby areas, so that they want to arrest the spread. After this third pandemic, there is a lot of few small packets of epidemics I have noted, but because of the advent of the antibiotics, it's all controlled. See, this is caused by the plague is caused by the organism called Yersinia pestis. It was like identified by the French scientist called Alexandre Yersin in 1894 in Hong Kong. And this organism, the Yersinia pestis, is a bacteria. It is in the it's normally it is present in the rat. The rat fleas takes the virus spread, and it infects the humans. So basically, the rodent infects the rat flea bite humans and infect the humans. This is what you have to understand. And then how it presents. Usually there is three kinds of a presentation. It's a bubonic mean. Usually the lymph nodes will be enlarged in the body. Usually starting with fever, after 3-4 days to a week, there will be a swelling of the lymph nodes. Once that bubonic plague was severe, it spreads to the blood and it's become a septicemic plague. And rarely it goes to a lungs also. It becomes a pneumonic plague. So if it goes to the lungs, the humans spread the virus through the droplets. It's a dangerous form of spread, the pneumonic spread. So because the pneumonic spread, even if you kill the rats, you can't prevent the spread, because human to human transmission happens via the pneumonic plague. You have to understand these things. The treatment of the plague is mainly the antibiotics. So in 1930, along with the anti-serum, sulfonamides are used to control the plague. And 1947, streptomycin antibiotics were introduced. After that, a lot of reduction in the plague epidemic. And subsequently, a lot of small packets of epidemics were happening because of the new antibiotics coming all the way. So the doctors can control the plague in a substantial way. But still, the plague is emerging here and there. Multi-drug resistant plagues are in some areas noticed, and it was difficult to manage. But advent of antibiotics and the advances in antibiotics controlling the plague till today.
Okay.
Okay, so that bacteria-induced epidemics and pandemics are over at this stage. That's what you have to understand.
Okay, so bacteria can be controlled, but here the issue is that it's a virus, is it?
Virus.
Okay.
Okay.
So what is the primary difference? Because the word virus keeps getting used, and doctors keep saying antibiotics don't work on a virus. So I think the average person doesn't realize that when they say, I have a viral fever, I need antibiotics. Doctors will say, but an antibiotic will not work on a viral fever. So I think there's a basic science lesson that we're all missing here that you need to give us.
The thing is, see, the still today, viral illness, we are not conquered. Even the fever, the common cold, we don't have much solution.
Correct.
Okay. Even AIDS is a virus. AIDS has some retroviral drug, but still it's not so much effective, it's to the extent we can control, because the problem with the virus is it keeps changing.
Okay.
You understand? So after this, the bacteria induced the plagues and the pandemics, next comes the virus induced pandemics. The flu is a word used to tell about the virus called influenza virus. Okay, influenza A virus have a various varieties. Okay, so basically they mention like a H1N1 or H2N2, something like that. So basically it's a two proteins they identify in the virus.
Okay, right.
H is one protein and that N is one protein, so they number it. Okay. If they identify the first protein of the H and the first protein of the N, they say H1N1. Okay. You got it?
Yeah.
So the initial, that 1918 pandemic, that is a Spanish flu. What we say, it is started because of the H1N1 virus. This is a types of influenza virus.
So
that's what you have to understand.
Where this originated from? Like you said, the plague was because of rats. Do we know where these viral sort of pandemics originated from? We don't know.
See, most of the viral pandemics, what we are getting nowadays is from the birds only.
Okay.
Okay. So the most of this kind of a zoonotic disease, we call zoonotic disease, means comes from the forest to humans, forest animals to human. So the zoonotic disease, that most of the zoonotic disease originated from the bats.
Okay.
Okay, because the problem with the bat is the bats, like in the caves, it tends to like hundreds and hundreds of bats, like they dump together, and the easy way of that virus to spread among the bats. Okay, for reaching the humans, usually we need an intermediate host. Correct. In between one host. Okay, so only sometimes pigs, sometimes poultry, sometimes like even this time they say Pandalian. So these kind of animals, one intermediate host has to be there. Okay, from there we reach we get the flu, these kind of viral infections. Okay, so the 1918 pandemic flu, initially they identified in Boston only. A lot of the soldiers coming up with a lot of some different kind of a fever and sore throat and some kind of a infection, and next day the whole body becomes blue and they die in the very next day. That time only they see a lot of deaths, and they can't manage even the cops, how to manage the cops. Those kind of issues happen that time only. So the Spanish flu is the very very worst pandemic what people noticed in the earlier age. This is the first pandemic happened because of the virus. You have to identify it. I understand this. So that time, because of the Spanish flu, we lost almost 50 to 100 million people across the world. Okay, this is a very huge loss for the human race. And second flu happened in 1951. This is called Asian flu. Every flu, what I'm going to, if I say flu, that means it's a influenza A virus based H1N1 variants. Okay. So 1957 and 58, we saw Asian flu. That's also variant of H1N1. And again, one Hong Kong flu happened in 1968 and 69. And 2009 and 10, we have a swine flu. That's what we are aware of. Okay. That's also variant of H1N1. Okay, but less than a million deaths. 2009-10 happened that swine flu. We have a less than a million deaths. It's a little milder form. Still, it is huge. And there is various other forms of rare influenza viruses are identified often. One in 1997, H5N1. Even the scientists are so confused how it happened in a human. Okay, these small packets of a that H5N1 is called highly pathogenic avian influenza. Okay, this happened in 1997 to 2003. Small packets, but they controlled well. And second one is called H7N9. It happened in 2013. Till today, it has 6 epidemic happen in the local areas. Basically, most of them in the China only. You have to understand that. An Asian lineage avian influenza. It's called H7N9. It's little confusing, but just for people wanting to understand about this pandemic, I thought I'll give this information. And so these are all the flu pandemics what we have seen till today. So what happens is after the Spanish flu and continuously flu is happening, what happened to this flu infection is it becomes a normal flu after some time. Okay, because people develop immunity towards for this flu. So it becomes a normal viral fever kind of. So people develop fever, sore throat, and they'll recover and they'll come out. But still, lot of the Scandinavian countries and a lot of the United States, they're having a flu shots vaccine.
Correct.
Okay, so
seasonal.
What they are targeting is they are targeting only 2 viruses in the vaccine what they are developed. It's for H1N1 and H3N2 and a little variant of influenza B vaccine, influenza B virus. So these vaccines they are advocating every year because every year this virus will change its shape and it mutate so much so that they identified that year's virus and they develop a vaccine against this.
Yes, because in the West they'll say it's flu season and it's time for us to get a flu shot.
Yeah, the flu is basically a H1N1 kind of a virus. It's an influenza A virus. That's what people have to understand. Okay. This kind of a pandemics we saw, it's all because of the flu, the influenza A virus. Okay. Next comes our COVID group of viruses. Okay, it's also produced a lot of pandemics till today. Okay, first one is the SARS.
Correct.
Okay, the SARS is happened 2003 in China. It started and spread to a lot of countries. And we have to understand one more thing. Each the pandemics produce the virus, the mortality rate. If 100 people are affected, how many people are we are facing their death. So if you see that SARS-CoV, that the SARS infection, that virus name is SARS-CoV. Okay, these are all coronaviruses.
Okay.
You have to understand, this coronavirus have 7 types till today. Okay, 4 everybody will get some point in our life. Okay, see the common cold what you are getting is the coronavirus.
Okay, this is just the mutated version, is it the bad one?
This is a mutated version. The 4 viruses commonly spread, circulate among the humans. It won't produce any harm. So the 3 viruses which we are worried about in the coronavirus families, one is the SARS, second is the MERS, MERS. It's called the SARS expansion is severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS. Okay, so the mortality is 10% for SARS. If 100 people getting affected, only 10 people will die. But for COVID-19, we are very less, only 1 or 2%.
Correct.
Okay, less than 1% in fact. So, second thing is that MERS is a virus they identified from from bat. It jumped to camels. From camels, it reaches the human beings. Mostly, it is seen in the Mediterranean region. So it's called Mediterranean virus, the respiratory virus. So if you see that that happened in 2012, mortality is very high in that, 35% mortality.
Wow, okay.
If for 100 people, 35 people will die if that MERS infection happened in them. And next comes our COVID-19. It is actually called SARS-CoV-2.
Correct.
Okay, so SARS-CoV-2 or it's called COVID-19.
Correct.
Okay, so this virus is the recent pandemic. Other than this, the African countries, they face a virus called Ebola.
Correct.
Okay, Ebola virus is a different scenario. The fatality is almost more than 50%, and but only African countries and few times in few other countries noted. But easily, you can identify the infection faster, and we can isolate them faster because the infection is so severe, people can't miss it.
Correct.
Okay, so now coming to the recent infection, the SARS-CoV-2 or COVID-19. What is the problem in this infection is, though mortality rate is less, the death rate is less, but identifying the disease is difficult in a lot of people, because even asymptomatic people will spread the disease. The virus goes inside, it will be silent for 2-3 days. That time they don't have any symptoms, they spread the disease during that time. Even after they develop the symptoms also, people might not be aware this is a COVID-19 symptoms, so they spread the disease further. So this is the major problem of this disease, so that we can't contain faster. We can't, like that contact tracing and all those measures won't help much, because a lot of asymptomatic carriers and spreading the disease. And this is till today only one viral disease we have completely eradicated from the human history is the smallpox, variola minor, that is caused by the virus called variola minor. The reason is the variola minor smallpox has a only human host, no animal host. So if you eradicate in human, it is gone.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay. So second thing is that one more, what is it called? If you, there is an effective vaccine, which is a lifelong vaccine. Okay, the immunity is going to be there lifelong. So that is the second advantage. And that symptoms are very peculiar. Like people can't confuse with the other diseases.
Correct.
You got it. So that's the reason we easily control the smallpox disease. That's the only disease controlled completely. Okay. So now we have seen why COVID-19 is the problem. Why we are struggling with this COVID-19, because of the asymptomatic carriers, and it's a late presentation, and we miss a lot of cases.